For our presentation we will be learning about Mendelian and molecular genetics and its relation to different hair colors. Here we will help teach you the differences between the Mendelian and molecular genetics of different hair colors. Hair color occurs because of the pigmentation of our different hair follicles. The two types of melanin are eumelanin and pheomelanin. Generally, when there is more melanin present, the color of hair will be darker, and when there is less melanin present, our hair will be much lighter. The amount of melanin in hair can be determined by the many different types of genes, although little is known about them. The best studied hair color gene in humans is called MC1R. This gene provides instructions for making a protein called the melanocortin-1 receptor, which is involved in the pathway that produces melanin. The melanocortin-1 receptor controls which type of melanin is produced by melanocyte. Some people have variations in one copy of the MC1R gene in each cell that causes the gene to be deactivated. This type of genetic change is described as loss of function. For these individuals, eumelanin production is lower, while pheomelanin production is higher, so they have strawberry blonde, auburn, or red hair. In an even smaller percentage of people, both copies of the MC1R gene in each cell have loss of function changes, and the melanin production pathway produces only the pheomelanin pigment. The hair of these individuals is almost always very red. Even when the melanin production pathway is making eumelanin, changes in other genes can reduce the amount of eumelanin produced. These changes lead to blonde hair. Hair color ranges across a wide spectrum of hues, from flax and blonde to coal black. Many genes other than MC1R play a role in determining shades of hair color by controlling levels of eumelanin and pheomelanin. Some of these genes are associated with gene transcription, DNA repair, the transport of substances such as calcium across cell membranes, or the structure of hair follicles. Several of these genes contribute to eye and skin color, but the exact role they play in determining hair color is unknown. Hair color may change over time. Particularly in people of European descent, light hair color may darken as individuals grow older. For example, blonde-haired children often have darker hair by the time they are teenagers. Researchers speculate that certain hair pigment proteins are activated as children grow older, perhaps in response to hormonal changes that occur near puberty. Almost everyone's hair will begin to turn gray as they age, although when it happens and to what extent is variable. Gray hair is partly hereditary and may vary by ethnic origin. It is also somewhat dependent on external factors such as stress. Hair becomes gray when the hair follicle loses its ability to make melanin, but exactly why that occurs is not clear. Let's move on to hair color. The phenotype hair color in humans come in a variety of shades. These colors include red hair, blonde hair, brunette hair, and black hair. First, we will talk about the black hair color and its origins. It can be traced back to the African slave trade. They had black hair and protected it by styling it braids, cornrows, and other styles. Today, black hair can be often described as one of the most dominant phenotypes found among humans. Black hair is derived through black dark brown eumelanin, which is known for giving black hair its dark pigmentation. This pigmentation can be found in studies made on black hair that includes melanocyte that can produce two distinct types of melanin pigments of brown to black hair color. In total, the melanin content in black hair was found to be 96%. This study was used to help understand the diversity of black pigmentation in humans. In today's culture, black hair is most often identified in African Americans and was used to improve cultural society. African Americans carrying black hair in cultural society for fashion trends. In today's culture, black hair has been known to fight against discrimination. Laboratory studies on black hair have traced the pigment to produce oxidative polymerization of DHI indica. There was also a high amount of eumelanin with a high content of 96% in people that carried black hair. In the studies with mice, eumelanin content were crowded for humans and mice. The final results showed that humans carried DHA-rich while in mice the black hair is DNA-rich. As a result on the effects of mutations of mouse coat color pigmentation, only MC1R polymorphisms can lead to phomelanogenesis. Also, the dark hair phenotype can be characterized by high levels of melanocortin-1 receptor, MCR1, signaling and activities of ion transporters and cystanicin, which is a cysteine transporter. The next hair color we will be discussing is brunette hair color. Brown hair is the second most common human hair color, after black hair. It varies from light brown to a medium dark hair. It is characterized by higher levels of the dark pigment eumelanin and lower levels of the pale pigment pheomelanin. People with brown hair are often referred to as brunette, which in French is the feminine form of brunette, the diminutive of brune. Brown-haired individuals predominate in most parts of Europe. In Northern and Central Europe, medium to light brown shades are the most common, while darker shades prevail in the rest of the continent. Similarly to blonde hair, brown hair occurs commonly among Australian Aboriginal and Melanesian populations. Very dark brown hair, easily mistaken for black hair, can be found occasionally in parts of East Asia. The pigment eumelanin gives brown hair its distinctive color. Brown hair has more eumelanin than blonde hair but also has far less than black. There are two different types of eumelanin, which are distinguished from each other by their pattern of polymer bonds. The two types are black eumelanin and brown eumelanin. Black eumelanin is the darkest. Brown eumelanin is much lighter than black. A small amount of black eumelanin in the absence of other pigments causes gray hair. A small amount of brown eumelanin without any other pigments causes yellow, blonde, color hair. Often, natural blonde or red hair will darken to a brown color over time. Some interesting facts about brown hair are that of all hair types, brown hair is the coarsest and the thickest, and most women with visible hair loss in the United States of America are brunette. One other interesting fact is that brunettes are more likely than anyone else to become addicted to nicotine. The high levels of the pigment melanin in brown hair also make it difficult for the liver to metabolize the nicotine, which keeps it in the system longer and makes it easier to become addicted. For all those brunettes wishing they were naturally blonde, only a small genetic change could have made all the difference. Scientists have found that replacing one of DNA's 4 letters at a key spot in the genome shifts a particular gene's activity and leads to fairer hair. Not only does the work provide a molecular basis for light hair, but it also demonstrates how changes in segments of DNA that control genes, not just changes in genes themselves, are important to what an organism looks like. Because our appearance is so strongly influenced by the color of our skin and hair, geneticists have long sought to understand the genetic basis of these traits and when they evolved. Studies of genetic variation in thousands of people have linked at least 8 DNA regions to blondness, based on the fact that a certain DNA letter, or base, was found in people with blonde hair but not in people with other hair colors. Some of those base changes, or single nucleotide polymorphisms, SNPs, were in genes involved in the production of pigments like melanin. These mutations in the genes typically change skin and hair color. Other SNPs lay outside genes but could be part of the regulatory DNA that helps control the function of genes nearby. Changes in that regulatory DNA could result in hair color but not skin color change, or vice versa, because regulatory DNA can change gene activity in just certain parts of the body. In Northern Europeans, the closest gene to an SNP that was strongly linked to blondness was KITLG, which codes for a protein that is key to making sure cells go to their proper places in the body and specialize accordingly. Blonde hair may not be important to survival, but the story of one of its genetic causes helps clarify how evolution can occur. KITLG is active in many places in the body, and any mutation in the gene itself would result in widespread problems in the body and even death. Yet it is bracketed by sections of regulatory DNA, any one of which could take control in a different tissue. Only 2% of people in the world are natural blondes. The KITLG mutation is the biological mechanism that helps create that blonde color naturally. The blonde hair mutation, or variant, is not genetically linked to any other traits, like skin and eye color. In contrast, many other human variants, for example, the variants that cause red hair, are known to affect the protein structure of genes, and therefore trigger changes everywhere in the body where the gene is expressed.
The last color of hair to be discussed is the color red, the rarest hair color, which is produced from the thoroughly studied MC1R gene. Even though the MC1R gene is found in 40% of people, it is only phenotypically expressed as red in around 1%. It is said that red hair comes from the steppes of Asia about 100,000 years ago. In this area the UV radiation levels are low and the people became deprived of vitamin D, leading to the evolution of lighter skin colors. One of the mutations of this evolution produced red hair and skin that absorbed UV radiation to obtain the vitamin D with ease. This ability to take in UV radiation is the reason that people with the expressed MC1R gene get sunburns. The color of the red today can vary from burgundy to burnt orange and is passed down when both DNA donors are carriers of the MC1R gene. In present time, redheads are most commonly associated with places like Ireland, Great Britain, Scotland, and Celtic nations. The MC1R gene produces polymorphisms and codes for melanocortin 1 receptor gene and is located at 16q24.3. MC1R is a G-coupled receptor located on the melanocyte surface and it encodes for 317 amino acids. It has 35 segregation sites making it highly polymorphic. The MC1R gene controls melanogenesis and is expressed phenotypically in the pigments of the skin and hair, as red hair and fair skin with increased freckling. There are some people who have the loss of function on both copies of MC1R gene producing only red hair variants. Eumelanin production is lower in MC1R and pheomelanin production is higher, due to loss of function, with enhanced eumelanin due to wild-type function. The MC1R along with P.D84E, P.R151C, P.R160W and P.D294H alleles are associated with skin cancer. Because of the eumelanin production being lower, eumelanin is a defense against UV radiation and pheomelanin has been found to contribute to skin cancers that are from UV radiation. This makes the MC1R receptor a major determining factor is the risk of melanoma or other skin cancers. The variant of the MC1R gene, 151 size has associations with 3 types of skin cancer.
From what we have learned today over Mendelian principles and hair color, we can identify that molecular biology is providing new insights into the nature of genes and protein. There were also relationships between the time-honored biochemical and physiological approaches showing disease. We learned that the genes can affect the function at the level of cells, tissues, organs, and individuals. Our hair color can also be inherited in X and YZ ways. This can often be misunderstood because of phenotypic and variable genetic differences that can be important to hair color. We also learned that hair genetic factors play a significant role in genetic gene sequence that can be important in the formation of hair color. As a result of these principles over hair, we can determine that humans carry a variety of different types. These hair types are blonde, black, brown, and red. The color of these hair are due to gene activation that is important for the growth of hair molecular genetics.